When you started the company in 2012, it started out as a services business. And you launched the first version of the SaaS product about 7 years later, around 2019. So just give us an overview of the services business. How large did that business get? And then what drove the transition from services to a product business for you?
Right. Just to correct that, we started as a result as a service company. And the difference versus consulting is that we did the same thing, just better and better for each customer. And it's interesting because we were calling CEOs saying that we were selling increased revenue and profit, and we have a way to measure how the activities in the organization could be connected to improved revenues, because you don't want to wait maybe 1 or 2 years until you see if this is working. And we went from 0 to $5.1 million, which is very much what we are doing in Sweden this year, already 2015. And we did a lot of profit. And then when we started the company, we of course knew that we were going to be a product company, but we understood that we can't develop this product without working very, very close with CEOs and customers. So 2015, we decided to change from RaaS, result as a service, where we paid very high amount of money if the results are better than this pre-made business case, to typical SaaS license company that the prices are for managers and for employees, and then you have a discount based on volume. So our revenue went from 5.1 to about $2 million. And then from that, we have gone up and gone up. Our churn in the beginning was about 60%.
Wow.
So the problem was how to sell to CEO. That was the first problem. And then when we became very good on doing that, then the next problem was how do we make sure that managers and employees likes the product as well? So it has been very much to become better and better within sales, and also to become better and better into how to make sure that managers and employees likes our product, how is so much that it would like to keep it, that the product gives something. So the churn actually was 0%. We didn't lose a customer for between 2019 and 2021.
Wow. So let's talk about that first part, how to sell to CEOs. So you obviously spent many years working with CEOs and getting results for them before you even had the product. When you finally shipped the product, how did you go about getting your first 10 customers? Was that going back to CEOs that you'd already worked with, or were you basically prospecting and finding new customers?
It's a good question. It's a little bit funny because we decided earlier. I had experience from that also in the US, and my co-founder also had that experience that selling to CEOs is not impossible. So we were calling to CEOs. In the beginning, it was about 85% of all CEOs who said yes to meeting number one within 2 weeks.
Wow. Who was making those phone calls? Was it you, or did you already have somebody on a sales team?
No, it was us. Everyone was doing those. Everyone within sales was doing this type of calls. And then after a while, we had packaged it so well so other people could do it as well.
Why do you think, of anybody listening to this saying, hey, if I could call my ICP, my ideal customer profile, and call them on the phone and get a 85% success rate with getting a meeting from those calls, that would be a dream business for me. So why do you think you were having that kind of success? Like, what's the lesson we can learn from this?
First of all, it's very important how you start that call, because of course people don't want to get a call, on their cellular telephone or mobile. It's about how you start, but it's also very much how well prepared you are, and that it's relevant. That every person, regardless if you're a CEO or not, is of course grateful for the information, the discussion is something that really helps the CEO. It's something which is around what that CEO is measured on. So I think it's relevant that we were very well prepared, and also how you talk.
And so you were just cold calling CEOs, and how are you getting past? There must have been gatekeepers. I mean, I imagine CEOs aren't just sitting around waiting for your phone call.
No, that's true. We're actually using the cellular telephone, and I should also say that this is not working for the largest companies in where we started in Sweden, like Ericsson and so on. It works for IKEA, it works for the biggest banks and so on. But some companies that are really, really large, that's impossible because you can't find the number to the CEO. But otherwise, it's just a person, and this person have no problem with listening if it's actually a discussion, not a monologue where we are trying to sell our product. But it's a discussion where we have done a great research, which hopefully is very relevant and unique and gives something to this person.
And so once you got that meeting, tell me what the sales cycle typically look like. So you get in front of the CEO. How many meetings did you typically have to have before you got to a point like, and how long did it take to close the deals?
In the beginning, it was more like 6 months, and then we got it down to 3 months. The hit rate was very high from meeting 1 to meeting 2 to meeting 3. But in the very, very end, it was a quite low hit rate until a year ago because of different reasons. I think it's about 3 months, I would say, nowadays.
Well, why did you say it was a low hit rate until recently? I mean, it sounds like you were doing a lot of things right, and the CEOs seem very receptive. So, what was the issue there?
No, the problem is, and I actually written 3 books. And my first book was about a CEO, and it was about strategic IT. A CEO, is able to talk with the CFO, right? They talk the same language, but when it comes to the CIO, they don't even understand each other. Based on that, I was doing this type of sales in that company as well. I met a lot of CEOs, and 1/3, they understood and did something. 1/3 understood but didn't do anything. And 1/3 didn't understand and didn't do anything. So that's typical when you start in a new trend, that in the very end, it comes very much up to that some CEOs are more just want to have the title instead of actually taking responsibility for what's best for the company, increased revenue and profit and so on. I mean, it's ridiculous today that the CEO is driving this change management, digitalization for the whole company, right? But it's the only person working analog. And you said before they're not working analog, but they don't have a business critical application for what they are measured on. So for me, they're actually working analog.
Okay, so you said, hey, first of all, we had to figure out how to sell to CEOs, and we just talked about that. And then you said the second problem we had was the 60% churn rate. What was going on there? Why was that so high?
It was so high based on that the product in the beginning was done, or in the tools, I would say tool set was done very much for CEO, increased revenue and profit. It didn't give anything to the managers and employees. So it was not that we didn't understand that we need to make everyone happy. It's more like we couldn't afford to develop, we needed more developers, more money in order to be able to also develop that part. Today, we have an application which is, churn is very low, and it's 96% of our revenues coming from license revenues. So we have passed those type of problems. But I think that type of problems we have had is actually something we planned for, because you can't build this product without going through some sort of very practical feedback from the customer.